Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's been a long time coming. I've had this on my mind for years. I'm so glad I'm able to bring it to fruition. I definitely wanted to create a podcast um, and have a platform and a safe space for just parents. You know what I mean? So I'm so happy that it's here and now we're ready to make it happen. But parenting, of course, that's the topic of a lot of discussions lately, of course. Parenting is something that, again, it's a hit or miss. Nobody's a perfect parent, and I'm just so proud that I'm finally here, and I had a moment and opportunity to make this happen. I want to start as well by addressing some of the topics that I definitely want to bring forth with this podcast. A few of those would be sharing practical do's or don'ts in regarding of real solutions of parenting. Also, just support parents through everyday challenges. I definitely want to discuss that as well. In bridging the resource gaps. A lot of our parents are out there looking for resources. They really don't know what to do. So I want to provide something with this platform again to make sure we get that information out. And also strengthen the family bond. That's something that I felt is always major. And again, we all can learn from that from one another. I want to get to start with my first guest. So this guy I've known, of course, when I was thinking of this podcast, there's no one other who I would have thought of to say, you know what, I want him as my first guest. This man right here means a lot to me, man. And I truly want to give him his flowers. As a man, I have no problem doing that because he's such an inspiration to me and others. You know what I mean? I met this brother when I joined the police department some years back. And again, he's just one of them brothers, man. He's going to be there for you. He always has your back, and he's just a leader, always been a leader, man. So he's always been a stand-up guy to me. Um, I'm going to read his bio. It didn't really do no justice because the man has done so many things. And what's amazing as well is I got a chance to serve under him and with him under his tutelage, being a member of the Black Police Association. He was the president at the time, and I came up under him, and now I'm the president. So to bring it full circle, and I just learned so much about him. But a little bit about William H. Scott Jr. Of course, he served on our police department, Las Vegas Metro Police Department for 29 years, has a associate's degree in criminal justice, a bachelor's degree in organizational leadership, and also a graduate of the FBI Academy. And throughout his career, he has a plethora of assignments that he's dabbled in. He's worked in homicide, robbery, gang crimes unit, organized crimes bureau, investigative services division, intelligence, bike patrol, problem solving unit, support emergency operations bureaus, major violators in narcotics, the Office of Community Engagement, air support, K9, search and rescue, armor and Bolden Area Command. That was one of the area commands that he was over. And of course, being on the historic West Side, that means so much to a lot of us. And I grew up on the West Side. I'm a West Side baby. So again, being a former vice president and a president of the Nevada chapter of the Nevada Black Police Association. And he's also involved in a lot of mentoring programs such as Payback, Choices, Brother to Brother, and Sister to Sister, Power of One Juvenile Rehabilitation. And he served also as an executive board member of the PAL, Police Athletic League. And now he serves as the chief, selected by our Attorney General Aaron Ford as the Chief of Investigations of Nevada Attorney General's Office. Please welcome William H. Scott Jr. Look, I clap for you.
Appreciate you.
So again, man, it's been a long time coming. I definitely wanted to give you your flowers, man, because you definitely deserve them. I consider Will a big bro to me, and he knows that. I have no problem telling him that every chance I get. But I want to start it off the question with, again, give us a little background of you, the man, William Scott Jr. What shaped you as the man standing before us today right now?
Well, thanks for the introduction. You said all that stuff. I was shocked that was me. So I was born overseas in Japan, moved into Las Vegas in 1970. My parents divorced in 1973. So my mother raised 4 kids in North Las Vegas on $300 a month. So what formulated me was MOS, Mineola Scott. That's my mother.
Mm-hmm.
My mother she didn't take no crap. She didn't care if you didn't like her as a parent, but she was going to parent. And we respected our mother more than we respected anybody else. Friends, neighbors, whoever it was. You have an African-American woman who didn't even start working until she was in her mid-50s.
Wow.
Because back then, the black families couldn't follow the black airmen around. When they were going overseas, obviously they'd give them the flights and stuff over there. But when they were stateside, those black family members had to follow them in the Greyhound bus. So here you have a woman who, followed my dad around the Air Force for 23 years and never worked. Well, I remember me and my brothers and sisters trying to show her how to fill out a job application. And we're in high school trying to show her how to fill out a job application. That's really what kind of formulated me. And that is what built that family structure. Is you were going to church on Sunday, you were going to Sunday school,
right?
You were going to the church and the 3 o'clock service, wasn't no ifs, ands, and buts. And then all of the other kids that went to the church would come over to our house. One thing she told them is that if you go to church, if you come over my house and eat my food, you got to go to church. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that family structure that she always had kind of just stuck with me. And when I saw that, I said, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to add one thing. I'm going to make sure that male figure is in the household.
Absolutely.
So that's what kind of formulated me.
Which is very important, man. And it's funny, of course, I have 2 sons. One, of course, different mother. You see the difference of just, having a son, the family structure, which is, mom and dad at home, and my son, which is a good kid. He bounces, of course, week with his mom. So it's very important and very pivotal, I feel. It's just amazing how, you put that in there, and it makes sense that, you want to provide that structure by being a mom and a dad and a parent to make sure you raise some solid kids. Now, that's what brings me to my next question. Now, again, you're a young black father. The early 90s, you say, you know what? I want to get into law enforcement. What fears and doubts did you have about joining the police department? And how did you balance those concerns with your desire to provide stability and security for your family at that time?
That's a good question. So it was a tough decision. Well, it really wasn't a tough decision because when my son was born, I'm like, okay, now you gotta step up to the plate.
Absolutely.
You got to make sure. And this was 1986 when my son was born. So I'm working 3 jobs trying to make ends meet. I'm working at Roadway Express, driving a forklift and emptying trucks. I was working at Zodi's as a maintenance man. I was working at Republic Airlines, cleaning out the planes and stuff like that. I did that for 2 years, trying to earn $1 any way I could.
Absolutely.
And what I was doing was I was looking at that little boy that I brought into this world.
Wow.
And the woman that I was getting ready to marry and saying, I got to be a provider. That's what kind of drove me into law enforcement. But the story that really drove me into law enforcement was a guy named Johnny. I won't say Johnny's last name, but I worked at the Mint Hotel and Casino as security. And I started to see how security was just prideful. Johnny had some substance abuse, alcohol abuse.
Wow.
He had some mental illness on board. He just walked down Fremont Street and just drink all day. His elderly grandmother took care of him. And I used to see how the security guards treated him. And I'm like, why are they treating him this way? Why are they getting a kick out of doing that? Wow. And then when the police officers came in, they were worse. And I'm like, why are they getting a kick out of it? Is this what policing supposed to be? Is this? And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna make a difference. So at that moment I said, and especially when I see his grandmother come in and his grandmother would beg the police, don't give him a citation, we can't afford it, I'm just trying to make in. Here's an elderly black woman just trying to provide for her grandson.
That's it.
And I just couldn't understand why these police officers were getting a kick out of doing this, and the laughing and all of that stuff. And I said, I'm gonna make a difference, not only for my family, but hopefully for the community.
Absolutely.
So that's what kind of drove my passion to go into law enforcement. Met some other black guys who were on the police force. Went on to Greg McCurdy, Wayne Morgan, went on ride along with those guys. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. And that's why I got the little bug inside me. And the things too, policing back then was different. Gerson was up, Marble Manor was up, the gangs was really prevalent.
Absolutely.
Every call you went to as a black officer, you were getting called all the time. You're the white man's in. You were, but my goal was bigger than the words.
Absolutely.
My strategy was bigger than the words that they were calling me. And plus the money was good.
Absolutely.
So benefit was good, and I could support my family, had health insurance for my family. I had that stability going there, but you had to learn how to be able to deal with the peer pressure inside the police department. And the way I did it, because I was an athlete, I was bigger then, and they couldn't stifle my mouth. You know what I mean?
That's fast.
Because I remember my mother saying, William Jr., as long as you telling the truth and you're doing the right thing, don't be afraid to speak.
Wow, life lessons.
You know what I mean? So I always stuck by that principle, is that if I know I'm true to myself and I'm telling the truth and I'm policing with some integrity, my mouth will be wide open. But she used to say, if you're wrong, you need to shut up. So that's what kind of steered that.
So that's so inspiring, man. And again, especially from an officer coming behind you, and of course, you deal with the same things. I remember when I first joined the police department, I had certain friends that all of a sudden they just disappeared. And I'm like, cool.
Oh, yeah.
If you've been my friend from the get-go then.
Right.
If that was the case.
Right.
So to see and hear what you went through back then, and I salute you too, big bros, because a lot of people don't realize you work 3 jobs, and I always salute to the men and the women out there who, regardless, they get it done and they do it the right way. Because you could have sold drugs, you could have been pimping. We always want to take the easy route at times, but you stick to your guns and you say, you know what, I'm going to provide a secure and solid foundation for my family, man. Salute to you, man, and all that you've done. I want to kind of segue into parenting and emotional well-being. And with that, I wanted to ask you, as a proud parent now, and like I said, I know your kids, you got to be proud, man. And they solid young men, solid young woman. Now that your kids are successful adults, what do you think shaped who they became?
I think that's just the family structure. I wasn't really worried about my kids. I used to tell my kids this: we not friends.
That's facts. I'm the same way.
We're not friends. I'm your father. That's your mother. We're here to raise good quality citizens. I said, and if you can't understand that, it's going to be a long 18 years for you. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you got to show your kids respect. They have to show you respect, and it has to be that equal thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I don't need for them to I'm respecting my parent, because you're going to do what I'm saying anyway if you're under my roof. But at the same time, how do you want your legacy to move forward? If I'm just like, okay, it's going to be my way or no way, and I can't listen to what you have to say, then that legacy is going to stick with your son and daughter.
Absolutely.
They're going to treat their sons like that. They're going to treat their daughters like that. So, since you did mention my son,
talk about him, man. He's on
the police department. He has a BA in psychology from the University of Arizona.
Yeah.
He just got his master's in psychology at UNLV. Getting ready to get promoted on the same police department that I went through. He'll be getting promoted to lieutenant here pretty soon. My daughter, she went to Cal State Fullerton on a track scholarship. She graduated with a degree in business with a minor in communication, and then she graduated Whittier Law School. Okay. So she's an attorney out here.
Man, that's amazing.
I'm a brag on them because
you should.
They did their thing.
Talk your stuff, man.
But I could tell you, it took partnership.
100%. Can't forget about, this is absolutely.
Me and my wife's agreement was this, is that you raise my daughter how to be a young lady, and I'm gonna raise my son how to be a man.
Job well done.
But at the same time, it has to be that
100%
role reversed, because what I want my daughter to see is
the man that she.
Exactly.
If you ever decide, to be with, he got to be doing the same thing your dad's doing.
Yeah.
Man.
So but I appreciate that.
Hey, job well done. Shout out to T. Big sis, what's up, man? Shout out to you. You said a few things that definitely hit home, and it's funny. I had this conversation with my sister, and I told her essentially, like, I'd rather be feared as a parent more so than love. And she kind of took it the wrong way. And I didn't want to make it put it out there like, and I told her, I said, I don't mean like when he hit the door, if I say something, he jumping or he running, but I want to be respected, because again, I remember when I was young, that's what kept me out of trouble. Cause I knew if I got home, I was going to catch a couple L's.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, if that was going to keep me on the right line. So I definitely feel that structure is pivotal. It's got to be there.
And I think a lot of parents too, and I don't have no degree in parenting or anything like that. I could only just tell you how I parent is that I really, when I was talking about my son wasn't my friend, it was, I had to do certain things to him at certain times so that he could understand. Because as a African-American kid, you already got 2 strikes going against you. You're black and you're male. You know what I mean? You always got to do better than the other guy, whether white, Hispanic, or whatever the race is. So that was always my thing, was always putting that in my head. And I did want my kids to fear of the repercussions of what was going to happen.
What can happen. Absolutely.
That's it. Not the fear of, like you saying, when you step through the door, am I going to get beaten in the head and being abused? It wasn't that.
Nothing like
It's
that.
nothing like that.
No.
It's fear of, number one, I don't want to let my parents down,
Absolutely.
and I don't want to let myself down.
Yep.
That's what you
and it's going to be consequences.
It's going to be consequences. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, well said.
And the consequences ain't always got to be physical.
No, absolutely not.
Consequences.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many kids now, you know, they have so much. They're on the phone all the time. They can't tell time.
That's the biggest one right there. You take that phone away, and the parents are scared to take it away.
Scared to take the phone away. And they paying the bill.
And you know, we've been mentoring for years. I've been mentoring since 1999, and I've ran and I still lead a few programs. And it blows my mind when the parents are like, you know, I took his phone, but he threw a fit and he started, you know, crashing stuff in the house. So I just gave him his phone back. I'm like, huh?
Right.
And you wouldn't believe that again.
That's the inmates running the asylum.
Come on, man. It makes no sense to me.
Inmates running the asylum.
But it's good because that's why we're here. So hopefully we can give some gems to these parents. Of course, the phone, they like video games. My son, it was times where my son couldn't wake up in the morning. So you know what I would do? I would take his phone at 8:39 p.m.
There you go.
And I said, you get in the morning. We're going to work on that sleeping because I already know he was up on his phone 1 in the morning. And guess what happened? He started waking up on time. And I said, you showed me that you're responsible to have your phone and go to bed on time. I get your phone back.
That's it.
It's simple as that.
That's it. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
And the key part of all that you said was the communication.
100%.
If you just take the phone and not explain to your kid why you're taking the phone from them and letting them know, hey, I'm taking the phone because of X, Y, and Z, or just take the phone, you got to communicate.
Absolutely.
You got to be able to communicate. And if your kid want that phone back, they're going to communicate back with you.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Because the phone is their world. You know how it is.
Yeah. That's a lifeline.
Absolutely. So again, back to the questions, man, because again, I have quite a few for you. Something that I feel we struggle with as parents, and we talked about a little bit just now. How do we create a safe space for your children, especially to express their emotions in a culture that often discourages it? And with that being said, that a lot of parenting we've learned coming up, toughen up, you shouldn't cry, and which just reading and learning, and looking at other different parent styles and methods, man, that's probably not the best thing to do. Our kids should be able to come to us. Yeah. They should be able to, we should be an outlet, but if they got to cry and let the feelings out, we should be able to be there to nurture that. So what's your take on that? And also, did you struggle with that as a father at times when those things happen?
Yeah, because you think your kid's talking back to you and they just haven't community, because they might get that little bass in their throat. You think they're talking back.
I've been there.
But I think that what you got to do as parents, you got to carve out that time for communication, whether it's over dinner, whether it's just, hey, we're going to carve out 30 minutes, because a lot of parents are working job to job trying to make ends meet. Yeah, that's right. But you as a parent, you're obligated to carve out some time to have some communication with your kids, a respectful conversation. You know what I mean? Hey, what do you want to do? How's school going? Just asking them a lot of questions, and then give them the arena to ask you questions too. Hey, Dad, how did you struggle with this, and this? Because I remember one time me and my son was talking, and the kid called him the N-word.
Okay.
And he was hot as fish grease. He wanted to fight and stuff like that. And so I told him, I said, look in the mirror. He looked in the mirror. I'm like, you got all your parts, right? You got your fingers, you got 10 toes, 10 fingers, 10. I said, man, them words don't mean nothing to them. What you do is you show them through other avenues. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
How you gonna hurt them? Physically hurt them.
Right.
It's either gonna be on the basketball court, football field,
in the classroom.
Academics.
Absolutely.
You
Academics.
Know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You do that, but you got to give them that space to communicate. But at the same time, make sure it's a respectful conversation.
Absolutely.
And back and forth. And if you don't know the answer to something, don't give these kids a false answer. If you don't know, say, I don't know. So that's a good question. Let me look it up.
Let me get back with you.
Because if you give them false information, they're going to take that as gospel because you're their parent. You know what I mean? Now they're going to go out there and do some stuff that you done gave them some false information. So if you don't know, man, Google is...
Right.
Google it.
That's it, man. And I think that's probably one of the things that's been difficult for me, man, with my eldest is because he's at the age where I know he's finding himself as a young man, and it's just hard for him to communicate, and I can tell. So sometimes I really got to extract it out of him. I really found, which has been profound, a good way for us to communicate is we read a book. Like we read Rich Dad Poor Dad. We read that together, and just blown away by some of his responses that it's like, man, and I asked him, you read this book before? He's like, nah, but see, he's very intelligent, but I just, that's one of the ways I communicate with him, because we get to talking, and I'm trying to get him to understand money and how it works. Because of course that's something that we're really not taught in school. And we really have some good dialogue, when we do that, man. And again, it's just been amazing.
You know what you should try? Go fishing. Me and my son used to go fishing with some other fathers and their sons.
And you've invited me a few times. We got to make that happen.
And the reason I say go fishing is because there's no phone, there's no distractions. You go camping, there's none of that. So you're almost forced that you got to talk.
You got to speak.
You go on a hike, you got to talk.
Yeah, that's true.
Or it's going to be a long 2 or 3 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it kind of forces the kid to actually talk and express themselves. So that's what me and my son, that was tradition for me and my son. Growing up, every summer we were going out.
Okay.
It was fishing.
Okay.
It was fishing.
Absolutely.
Then your kids communicate with you. But my son went through the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the father figure. They don't know. Sometimes the kids don't know because, figure baby boomer Generation X, kids gonna be Generation X. You're gonna be a baby boomer, and they're feeling like, okay, my dad don't understand. Like I used to tell my son.
I feel like we out of touch.
You out of touch. Like I used to tell my son about football, but he gonna listen to the coaches. And I'm like, that's fine, listen to the coaches.
Same thing with my son with basketball.
But man, I went to college and played football.
Same thing with my son.
And you look at it and you try to figure out why, but then when you start seeing your kids shut down, that's when you need to give them a little bit of space. And
let somebody else do the
let somebody else do it.
Yeah. And it's funny because, man, I remember at a time, like, I'm like, so son, somebody who put the ball in your hand, and who played the sport, you can't listen to me, but but I just think again at times too, I had to take a step back, and I've learned too to be curious instead of confrontational at times. So just ask questions like, okay, son, I just want to know why'd you do X, Y, and Z, and let them give you the explanation. But and I've just learned, man, if I can't do it, I'll reach out to you. I'll reach out to some of my other good friends and see if they can assist. And maybe a different word, definitely assist and help them out. But again, like I said, it takes a village, man, and and that's why one of the reasons, again, this platform is important, so we can share it with one another. With that being said as well, what household traditions or routines, and I give you example, like one of my mantras with my kids, and I always try to encourage and instill pride in them, is even my little man, Nasir, when he was a young, and now, I still do it with him now. Well, he's driving now. I used to drop him off at school. I'm like, well, who are we? Hunts. What are we? Leaders. What's important? What do we have a lot of? Pride. So these are little things I try to instill in them, and again, repetition is everything.
Yeah.
So you get them to believe it and they know it. And I think that definitely resonated and it helped a lot with them coming up. But what are some of the things, whether it's chores, respectful greetings, shared mantras, did you foster in your responsibility, in unity of bringing your kids together, or just showing them the way as far as leadership?
So like I said earlier, MOS, Mineola Scott. One tradition she had was Sunday dinner.
Okay.
And that's what we do
And that
now.
was constant.
We still do it now. It's my son and my daughter know every Sunday.
Every Sunday I got to be at the house.
Yeah, it's going to be dinner. That's the time we carve out for
Makes sense, man. That's
dinner. And that was tradition in our house since the kids were born, since 80. My son born in 86, my daughter in 90. It was always Sunday dinner. So that was tradition we did, where you could break bread, you could be in a comfortable space, and you could talk.
And talk as a family.
And you could just talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
That was our tradition.
That's amazing. And again, these are gems. These are gems, y'all. And I'm hoping everybody picking up what we putting down. Again, I'm definitely learning. And like I said, it's been amazing. I knew this was going to be phenomenal because, again, big bros always come with it. Now that your children are grown, when you look back in hindsight, is there anything that you feel you would have done different?
Yeah. Some of those assignments that I had as I was growing up. So back then on the police department, you had to work certain shifts and certain details. So, for instance, in order to make extra percentage in pay, you had to work swing shifts.
Yep.
Right?
A graveyard.
Or a graveyard, Right. Those are those times when your kids are coming home from school, they're doing homework, they're having dinner at night. All of that stuff I missed.
Yeah.
I never put my son to bed. I never put my, I did on my off days.
All right.
But those were, probably on the weekends or something like that.
In between.
But all of his school events, AB Honor Roll, all the teacher parent conferences, plays and stuff, I was there at those. But I think the most critical time was when my wife had to take care of both of the kids, putting them, doing homework with them, making sure that they got their baths at night, because no fault of my own, but I was trying to make that extra income. And if I had to do it over again, I don't know if I would do it over again, because even though I do have a great relationship with my son and my daughter, I miss those times.
But that's a hard
You know,
place, big
it
dog, because
is.
you trying to provide for your family. You want to give them the best opportunities. You got the wife at home. You want to make sure she comfortable. So and I've been there, man. That's why
Yeah.
this is hitting. This is hitting, man. Because I know when Nasir was younger, man, my eldest, it was like same thing. Like I had to work great, but that's just what it was.
Yeah.
And it's like you miss out on them days when they were younger. I mean, of course, now you put in the time, you get the days off you want. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you put your tenure in, you got a little bit of seniority.
Mhm.
But no, I get it, man. And I know a lot of people listening is gonna be like, man, that was me all day as well.
Yeah.
So,
But I
yeah,
think,
no, I hear you.
yeah, because you gotta provide for your family in order for them, you know, depending on where you come from, you don't want them to be a product of their environment.
100%, 100%.
So you have to be able to do
Yeah.
certain things and work certain jobs in order for them not to be this product of your environment. But a lot of things too, man. Some of the assignments when I was working back then was a lot more dangerous back then.
Yeah.
Working undercover
Man,
in criminal intel.
oh yeah.
Those were things. We had to always drive two separate cars.
Yep.
Where we go
In
in.
case you get a call.
In case you get a call. But I was working undercover. I worked undercover for 10 years in the Organized Crime Bureau. I was a detective, and then I came back as a
You heard some of your
supervisor.
stories, man. Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, but you'd be walking through the mall with your family, and you always have your head on a swivel. And my
yeah.
wife already knew that if I disappear, something like that,
It was because, yeah.
just go home, because I was trying not to let the bag out. So those were kind of some of the things that I probably, because you were putting your family in harm's way,
Absolutely.
but you're putting them in harm's way to try to make ends meet. You know what I mean? You weren't purposely doing it, but
No.
those are some of the things that I think I probably would change. I remember one time I would deal, and my son, I think he might have been 12 at the time, and somebody called and said, "We're gonna kill your dad because we know who he is." And I had SWAT at my house for 3 months, hitting cameras in the bushes and stuff. You know what I mean? And you think about, man, I put my family in a vulnerable position because I can't be there all the time to protect them. Would I do that again today? Was the money good? Were you making good? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but was it
You
worth
were
it?
doing that. But if one of my kids or wife would have got
Correct.
hurt, you'd have been like, is it worth it?
Wow.
You know what I mean? Especially when you got a community sometimes that, don't really respect the police. But that's the oath I swore
100%.
to, is to make sure I'm gonna protect the vulnerable, the weak. It's just, it's something you got to figure out what you want to do as a parent, and how you want to structure that.
Right.
But don't say no to everything, because there's going to be some ways that you can actually talk to other people that's been through it. Hey, how did you get through this situation? How did you get through that situation? How did you do this? Networking and doing all that. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was deep right there,
Yeah.
man. Switching to community and learning. And this question I feel is important as well, because I often, feel like you are one of the reasons why that I am where I am. You paved the way for me and a lot of other people that came before you to set the tone and set the foundation for us. Who in your community has influenced your parenting, whether it's a mentor, family members, or organization, and how?
MOS, obviously, my mother.
Absolutely.
But I think, too, the Black Police Officers Association, coming up as a young Black officer and stuff like that. And some guys telling you, man, you don't want to be part of that organization. The Black guys will tell you, you don't want to be part of that. You're going to ostracise yourself away from from the white officers.
Of course, because it's the Black Police Association.
Because the Black Police Officers Association. But if they look at, what the mission and the vision of the association was, it was really just to give us that level playing field.
100%.
Because as you know, when you trying to promote, some of them are studying the test and we studying for the test.
That's a fact.
So how do you balance that off? So I think it was, Black police officers, especially when I was a young police officer, you had some brothers and sisters that you could actually go to and talk to. Whether it was issues that you had on the job, things that you saw on the job, or things that you heard, how to maneuver through different things. It was good to have that organization there, or have some of those people, whether they were locally or they were nationally from other cities. You can reach out, pick up the phone, and say, "Hey, man, I'm going through some stuff there," and listen to them on how they maneuver through it.
And man, you hit it spot on. And again, me being, of course, the president now, sitting where you were years ago, I've been a member again as soon as I got on the department as well, and this has helped me tremendously. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And I made a post probably like a few days ago about the BPA, and of course, just because we love, and I always say, just because we love our culture and our community, don't mean we anti-white and we anti-Hispanic. But usually when you're associated with some black, we kind of get that rap. But again, Irish, they can have their days and represent as brown pie, Polynesian. But when it comes down to black, for some reason, it's like it's got to be an issue. So I've always took it to be an advocate to try to just show people and understand, that's not what it is. And it's funny. I had a quick story real quick. I was working seminary command at the time, and we had one of our holiday events, galas. Of course, we post them, throughout the area command. Out of my peripheral, this white officer was like, "What is this shit?" and snatched it down. And I'm like, what? So, I mean, I could have did a few things. I could have SOC'd him, statement of complaint. But I took the time to really just stop him and really break it down to him, like what it was. Like, hey, man, and you can be a member. I told him you can join. Just, come learn and check it out. Cause we really just trying to bridge the community together. Cause we know it's been a lot of, bumping heads and tension with the black community and police. And I think we've done a good job by advocating for the people and still in the community, man, and let people know it's okay. We want to sit at the table, and it's okay. You know what I mean?
And get more people, get more youth involved in law enforcement.
100%, man. This career has changed my life, and it's been so consistent. That's why I always tell the young brothers that, look, it's okay. That, man, people have seen us and be like, okay, you made me say, you know what, I want to join law enforcement because you made it look like it was okay. And then we're doing our job if that's the case, because it's definitely a career, man, that's promising, and you can help so many people. So that I've always been an advocate and been a walking billboard, man. Of course,
and I think too is for those naysayers that think it's the black police officer, go to a national conference. You're gonna see all different kind of races.
Absolutely,
it's probably gonna shock you. Because there are people that want to be part of this association, just like you. You're probably part of the Latino Police Association.
Yep, I am.
You know what I mean?
Because you understand the cause. You know what I mean?
It's about supporting each other.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
This I tell. Plus, you got to have your mind of your own.
100%.
You can't let other people dictate the way you live your life.
Absolutely.
And that's what I've always tried to do. Is I'm not gonna let nobody else dictate, unless you want to come into my house and pay some bills. Then I might listen to you. But other than that, I'm not gonna let you dictate how I live my life.
And it's funny, man, because, and I salute you for it, Big Rose, because again, as you climb, I seen you climb the rank, man, you still remain the same person that I met from day one. You still was active and involved with the BPA. You see some people join, man, they get to hitting them ranks, and it's kind of like they fall wayside.
And I fell off at the end, but I think it's because you want to pass the torch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's funny you say that. We're having a problem with that now. And you did it well.
It's time for me to step out of the way. It's just like if I give one of my guys an assignment, one of my deputy chiefs or some assignment, But for me to tell him every step of the way how to do the assignment, that shows I don't have no faith or trust in what he's going to do. So my job is to give you direction, move out of the way, and let you do it the way you want to do it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the problem too, is nobody wants to pass that torch.
That's the issue with a lot of things now and again. And that's another gem, I believe. And when you're dealing with parenting, you got to understand how to pass that torch, or when you're mentoring.
Well,
you know what I mean?
mentioned earlier about your son with the phone. You gave him clear direction on what you wanted him to do with the phone, and you got to move out of the way that he's going to do it. And he did it. You can't keep harping on him talking about, you got that phone. Did you take the phone out of it? Now you got to trust that he's going to do what you tell him to do as a parent. And then there's the repercussion behind if he don't do it.
If he don't, that's a fact.
So,
So as a mentor to many in our community, and because I know a lot of good friends that I know respect you the same as I do, and I know we've had a relationship and a friendship for years. Why is it so important for you, and what motivates you to keep reaching and giving back? Because I know, anything I usually have, and I say, Big Dog, I'm mentoring, I need you to come speak to the kids, or I'm doing X, Y, and Z, you gonna pull up, man, and I so appreciate that.
You know what it is? I think it's just I don't fear seeing people progress past me. That's one thing I don't fear, because I'm secure in myself.
100%.
that I know if I can give somebody else some nuggets because like you, I want you to succeed past me. I want my son to succeed past me. I don't want but I'm not jealous of that.
Right.
It's like, I want you to do more.
Come on, man.
You
Bigger
know what I
and
mean?
better.
So that's why I do that, is because number one, I want them to pay it forward, and I want to make sure that they understand is that they should be doing the same thing that I'm doing as far as, I'm not going to be at every event. I'm not going to be at all the stuff, but the ones that I think are really, really critical to show your mentees that, okay, I'm here to support you, go to those events and make sure you're there, but also make sure you keep pushing them to show them that they can do better. You know what I mean? I used to, when we gave Herman Moody, remember we gave Herman Moody that we started the Nevada, the Post, the first African American explorer post over at Nevada Partners. And I thank Mr. Moody for allowing me to stand on his shoulders.
Absolutely.
Because if it wasn't for those Herman Moody's and all of those guys, we wouldn't have no job. The Boldens, we wouldn't have no careers and the jobs that we have. They allowed us to stand on their shoulders, rest, and excel. And the same thing I think I try to do is I don't want to hold nobody back. So stand on my shoulders, young brother, and absolutely push it forward.
And what's crazy? One of my favorite quotes is, again, it goes to some of the effect of no candle is never burnt out like another candle. And I think that so many of us sometimes we get in our own way. And I say it all the time. Oh, people want to see you do good, but not better than them.
Exactly.
But that's not the case, man. Like I tell my son all the time, in my mentees, I want to see you do better than me. You should, because I got the blueprint. Now I'm giving you the game. Run with it.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I totally get that, man.
Pass the baton.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lastly, what did you hope your children will remember you as a dad? And again, and you're gonna be here, but y'all see my man Healthy. And he's always been like this. This big bro, he's inspired me. You know what I mean? We just talked about him, and it feel good. We go to the little pool, man. We take our little shirts off, and we looking better than 20-year-olds, man. But now, as a father now, of course, or 30 years, 40 years from now, but maybe what do you want your children to remember you as a dad, man?
Just that he did his best. That's it. Basically, he did his best. He was there for us. And remember the things that I've taught them, as far as, I shouldn't say just me and my wife, the things that we've taught them is, treat other people the way you want to be treated. Always be kind to people. And those are the things that I want them to know is that he did his best and didn't let us down. Just that simple.
That's it.
Just
That's solid, man. Yeah. And again, that's the core and again, the foundation of life, I think. Those simple things of respect and again, just standing on your values and family values. And that's something I hope my sons will be able to, when I'm not here no more, or even when I'm here and they somewhere, I remember they told me this and this.
There you go.
I'm gonna stand on 10 toes. Yeah. And that's all we want.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But parenting it's tough, man. It's really tough, and the nugget that I can give some of the listeners that I hope will listen to this is that when you going through those tough times with your kids and stuff like that, God puts you in a place. He's putting you in that moment in time for a purpose.
That's a fact.
To see how you're going to deal with them. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to say no.
Yeah,
I ain't dealing with this crap. I'm done, and walk away from the situation. That's easy. And we all know there's been people that's done that.
Absolutely.
But when the mud gets thick and you trying to cross that terrain to get to the other side and you holding your son's hand, you ain't going to let him drown in the mud.
Absolutely not.
Or your daughter, you're not going to let them drown.
Absolutely
not.
You're
going to keep pushing through the mud, until you gain that traction. All of a sudden, it's going to get a little drier on the other end, and you're going to be able to walk through there. So that's what I tell.
That's it. And that's what this platform is for, listeners. Again, as the man stated, nobody's perfect. We're not perfect parents. I'm still trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Me too. He's 39. My
you see what I'm saying?
He's still learning.
But I think when we have this space, a safe space where we can come and talk and discuss, and I'll have different guests, we can all learn from each other. And that's what it's about. Because I know I've learned some things, watching you come up, and I know I have younger bros that have seen me and mentees, and they've learned some things from me, and that's what it's about. Each one teach one, and it takes a village. Now, lastly, I know the lastly was not a lastly, but this is a lastly. Can you share with us at least 2 resources or pieces of advice that could help listeners become well-rounded parents? What do you suggest? What's your suggestion?
First of all, don't listen to people that don't have kids.
That's a fact.
Don't listen to kids. People, if you're trying to parent through individuals who don't have kids and don't know the real struggle of being a parent, you're doing a detriment to yourself. I would say find somebody that you see that has a successful family, or you see them be like, man, I wish I had that kind of relationship with my kids. Reach out to that person, whether you know them or not. At least try to find a way to reach out and talk to them to get some nuggets and get some advice from them. Yeah. You know, we just talked about the Black Police Officers Association. That's a good organization. Tons of resources that organization has. The Latin Police Officers Association. There's tons of resources that you can go there, because a closed mouth don't get fed. So if you're going through some troubles with your kid, I would say even Google. Punch in there, you know, how to deal with my kid, do this, and Google won't show you videos and all kind of stuff. And people gonna think that's, you know, cliche or something like that, but it actually works.
People got podcasts and stuff
because
as well.
What do we do with Google?
Yep.
When you want to cook something, you want to learn how to cook a brisket. What you gonna do?
You're gonna Google it.
You Google how to be successful on a multiple choice true or false test. Here are Harvard professors giving you free advice on how to be successful on a true or false multiple choice. And if you can't take that free advice, what advice you gonna take? You know what I mean? So that's what I would say. Reach out. It's almost like being married. How you gonna listen to your girlfriends or your homeboys who are single?
You can't keep a man or woman.
Right. And expect for them to give you marital advice.
That's a fact.
It's not gonna work.
It's not gonna happen.
You know, and older generation are some good people to talk to.
Hell yeah.
Because they've been there, they've done that, they've had all of that experience. And a lot of even go to the volunteer at a nursing home. Right. And stuff like that. To pick people's brain. Because there's all types of people. People that's in nursing home from Tuskegee Airmen and people that have been nurses and doctors and stuff like that. They would love the opportunity to talk to somebody young who is struggling with parenting or things of that nature and just get advice. And if you say you don't have the time, you got the time.
100%.
You can always carve out 30 minutes out of the day to help yourself and help your family be successful.
That's why I stay tapped in you, man.
Sir.
You already know. Or you can stay tuned to upcoming episodes of the podcast of Raising Humans Together. That's our time. Hey, once again, Big Bros, I appreciate you, man. It's always love, man.
Appreciate you for having me on as the first guest.
I've learned a lot, man. And again, I'm hoping that, you know, we can pass this on to others, and I hope they can take some from it as well.
Yes, sir.
Until next time, we'll see you.
Yeah.